This week's Make More Placement podcast might be the most important one we've ever released for recruitment and search business owners. Because if you're honest, most of us have never been taught how to turn a recruitment job into a recruitment business, let alone one that creates freedom, wealth, or an exit. And if you're anything like me, you've probably said at some point, I wish someone had taught me this when I first started my recruitment business. Well, this is that episode. It's called Exit to Freedom, turning your recruitment or search business into lifelong wealth. We're joined by Christian Mather, a financial advisor who specialises in advising recruitment and search business owner. This is the guy that the top founders within recruitment and search go to when they want clarity on wealth, exit, and numbers behind freedom. In this episode, Christian's going to reveal the 3 things that your recruitment business must have if you ever want to have real value to a future buyer. And he doesn't sugarcoat it either. He explains step by step what separates the owners who create a business rather than the job. Owners who make work optional. Owners who can retire early. Owners who sell for life-changing values. Owners who create generational wealth from the rest who burn decades trading time for cash with nothing to show for it. Here's what you're going to discover inside. Myths around exit. Why most recruitment and search business owners massively overestimate the value of their business. And the real reason why 99% of recruitment business owners will never ever sell. 2, calculating your financial freedom number. How much do you actually need to become financially independent, and why most business owners are getting this wrong? And 3, how to get started. We're going to share with you what to do in the next 90 days if you want a business that could one day be sold or simply runs without you. This episode is going to give you clarity most recruitment founders never ever get until it's too late. If you want your recruitment business to create freedom, wealth, and not just long hours and a pipeline to feed, this is the episode you can't afford to skip. Simply click on the link below to listen to this episode. Today we have a guest, Christian Mather, who is a financial advisor. And I'm going to say no more than that, really, Christian. I'm going to hand over to you.
Okay, fantastic. So, Terry, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come and speak with everyone. And hopefully we can give you lots of value today. You're probably thinking, a financial advisor, what's he going to speak about? And it's not going to be pensions and investments and insurance. It's going to be about you and your business. And Terry and I, when we were talking, we came up with this type of exit to freedom. Okay, it's turning your recruitment business or any business in that matter of fact into lifelong wealth. Okay, so we're going to go through the agenda. I'm going to really start here. When I'm speaking to Terry, what we decided to do, we do sort of 3 short presentations, and we take a break in between each one, give people an opportunity to engage, ask any questions. I will also ask people if they wouldn't mind that they apologies, I think I might stop sharing my screen there. Technology, hey. If they wouldn't mind to use the chat as we go through this, so that we can engage a little bit with it as well. So what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about some exit myths. I'm really going to set the record straight there, give you some information and facts and figures about it. We're going to talk about your freedom number. That's the number that you need to get to so you never have to work again. Show you how to calculate it and why it's important. I'm going to talk to you about building your future. And then finally, we'll finish with some questions and answers. So without any further ado, I'll get in there. If there's any questions that come up, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we can either answer them as we go along, or at any point as it becomes relevant. So let's start here. What I will make a quick point on this. I'm going to speak about recruitment business owners, but it's relevant if you're an employee, a business owner, or sort of anyone really. I'm going to ask you quickly just to engage with me. Who wants to exit their recruitment business one day? We're all going to exit, whether that's by choice or not. But out of anyone here, who thinks so? Can you give me a quick yes or no in the chat? Fantastic, lots of yeses coming in. Do occasionally get a few no's in here and say, I really love what I do and I want to work forever. But I think most people recognise that Whether it's through choice or not, they'll exit one day. And what it comes down to is there are 4 ways you'll exit a business. Number 1, you're going to get pushed out. You're forced out of the business due to circumstances beyond your control. Think health, burnout, financial collapse, partner conflict, or personal crisis. There is no choice, no preparation, and very little to be recovered in value. Number 2, you're wheeled out. You become the founder who never lets go. You stay past your passion, past your usefulness, and past your enjoyment until the business is quite declined around you. Look, I was speaking to someone about a week ago, and we were talking about a business, had a fantastic founder. They built it up to about £25 million in revenue. The chap, unfortunately, met an early demise. It passed on to his son. 3 years later, they closed the business down. No value at all. But the value arose slowly because no succession or exit plan was ever put in place. The next one is with timed out, and it's the ultimate non-exit. You never build a succession plan. You never prepare for a sale. You never make work optional. So the business ends when you do. And I think that's really unfortunate because that's missed opportunity. You could have been doing the things you wanted to do instead of running a business until you basically ended up where we all do. And you spent your life working when you could have been doing so much more. And then finally, the one we all talk about is getting bought out. A planned, prepared, intentional exit where you leave on your terms, like financially, emotionally, and strategically. You reduce founder dependency, built value, position well, and buyers are competing for the business. They're knocking themselves over. And that's the dream, isn't it? Now, Terry sort of mentioned this stat when we did it, put in a slightly different way. I could ask you what this means, but I'll tell you. 3 out of 1,000. That's 3 out of every 1,000 recruitment agencies in the UK that get sold each year. There's 30,000 agencies on Companies House at the moment. That's about 0.3% who sell. And even if you do get to that point, earn-out clauses lock you in for 3 years. Due diligence drops valuation by 30%. Capital gains tax takes another chunk. Your 2 million quickly becomes 800 grand in your pocket. And that's if it all goes perfectly. You find a buyer, the market's right, and most importantly, you stay healthy through the whole process. Meanwhile, you're running a job without paid holidays. I don't know about you. I'm a business owner. I check my emails when I'm away. Sick pay. Revenue stops when you stop. A pension. Because the business is your pension right? Well, it's not. Because if you don't have the backup and you can't sell the business, then you're putting all your eggs in that basket. And do you even have the life cover? What happens to your family if something happens to you? So it's a bit like we all think we're better than an average driver. We all think we're going to sell our business, but we do need a plan B. So this is about speaking to those people and the other 997. And again, I spoke to a founder recently, 450,000 EBITDA business, 15 years building, 0 pension, 0 ISAs, a lovely car, a big house, a lovely family, a big mortgage, and an even bigger lifestyle. Everything was tied up in that business, his whole life. And what did he say to me? It's worth 2 million. That's my retirement sorted. And my question to him is, what happens if something happens to you? He didn't have an answer. And I really want us to think about that a little bit. Now, I've actually given this chart to clients once or twice, and they've put it up and said, I can't look at it anymore. Every dot is a year of your life. A month of your life. Every line is 3 years of your life. And if you're anything like me, you're probably trying to work out quickly where you are on it. But I put this up because time's the one commodity we can't buy more of. Most founders think about how to grow their company, but they forget to grow their personal wealth, because your personal wealth leads to your freedom. And once you start focusing on your life rather than just business, everything changes. Every decision you will make will change because you start focusing on what's most important. And the biggest risk is the longer you work, the less you get to play in the future. So life really is not a rehearsal. We get one shot at this. We want to make sure we do it right the first time. if you don't understand this, you risk wasting time building a business when you could have been playing. And for me, that's the saddest fact of them all. So I'm going to sort of end this segment with one final question. Not going to ask you to put a comment in, it's just something for you to reflect on. How much of your family's life today exists only because you're able to keep running your business? Okay, that's going to be the end of the first section. I think have a little opportunity to stop and see if anyone's got any questions, and and see if that's sort of got the brain cells working on a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, just something you said there about number 4 being bought out. A lot of recruitment business owners I speak to, their goal is, I want to hand the business over to my son, daughter, or I want to keep the business and I want to take an income from it for as long as possible. Do they have to view things differently if they're thinking that way? If they're not going to, they don't actually want to sell it, but they want to keep the business for continuous income, personal income.
I think it's a really good question, Terry, and I think it comes back to, and I hear it a lot. I think you've still got to build a business that's sellable to do that, because you've got to build a business that's not dependent on you. So there's two scenarios. One is passing over to the next generation, and one is building a business that will just run with you and you can take some money out of as you go along. I'd say on the second one, by that very point, you've built a business that you can sell anyway. So your options are quite open anyway. You can decide to keep it. But of course, there's a lot of risk in just holding on to a business long term. If there's value in it and you've got other things that you want to do, it may be better to take that value now. I mean, it's an old saying, but a bird in the hand is worth two in the tree in that essence. On the intergenerational planning, and this isn't just recruitment, it's a risky business. And I'll tell you why. Particularly in something like recruitment. Recruitment's a hard business. You've really got to go and learn what you're doing, how you're doing it, and everything that you do. And you take a lot of knocks, and you give your family a great life because of recruitment. And unless the son or daughter is brought into the business and trained in the right way and coached in the right way, and that's where I'd actually say, Terry, it'd be back to you, is if I was wanting to pass my business to my son or daughter, I'd want someone like you, to make sure that they're trained and that they know, they've got the right mindset and the right way of doing things, so that when they take that business over, it's going to continue succeeding, because that's your legacy as well, isn't it?
Yeah, excellent. Cheers, thanks, Christian. I'm going to come to a few people. I'd just love to get a few people's thoughts. So I'll come to you first of all, Mike, for your thoughts and questions, and then you, Dom.
I think it's really, really thought-provoking stuff, Christian. Thank you. I think one of the challenges that I think will echo with a number of people on this call is a lot of us are, if not solo business entrepreneurs, we're running small teams. And the business is being, talking personally, my business has been built on the relationships that I build with people. And if I take me out of the frame, that disappears. And I'd just be interested in your thoughts on that, because the clients that I win are based on relationships that have been, in some instances, many years in the making.
Yeah. And I think this is where we come down to that small percentage of people that actually sell businesses. And I mean, I'm a solo myself, in effect. I've got a few ancillary staff, but I'm the business. I'm the one that has the relationship. So much I can relate from that perspective. And I think that's where the importance comes of recognizing that you're not going to work forever. So you better have a plan that's going to get you to the numbers that you need to, so that one day work becomes a choice. Because ultimately, there may be some residual value in it, but you recognize there, Mike, ultimately, you are the business, you are the value, so that you're not going to have an exit in the future. You need to know, well, actually, I need to know on a yearly basis how much I need to take out so that I can build my assets up and never have to work again. And hopefully we're going to do a bit more of that in the next section.
Yeah, because that, again, the view I'm taking is that there might be a residual value attached to the what I'm creating and what I'm building, but is that there's a window of whether it's 3, 30 or 50 years of opportunity there that one has to generate significant profit in the business, so I can take enough cash out that I can invest into other assets that are going to provide me with that income. And there's a lady that both Terry and I knew built a very successful business. Her view was it was worth 1.5 million. I think she ended up getting about 350,000 for it.
Yeah.
And that's had a significant impact on her, her future plans, but also on her mental state as well.
And it's not just about money. It's emotional. And you're right, because if you spend your life thinking my business is worth X and it's not, and what I said, my business is my pension, and you've not done that sort of harder work while you've been running the business, then that's exactly the kind of thing conversation I have all the time. I speak to people at 55 and 60 saying I've had enough, I want to retire, but they just haven't built the assets and done the hard work beforehand to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you've got a very good understanding of exactly it. So again, come back to my point, it's even more important for solos and small businesses to know their numbers and have a plan.
And I think Larry's just made a comment in the box, which is, it's easier to sell if you've got a contract book of business. And I think, and he's absolutely right, where a lot of people on this call, they're busy, I'll make a placement with a client. I might not hear from that client for 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's that the unpredictability of work that also makes a potential sale, I think, a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. And again, and putting it back, that wouldn't you agree that makes ensuring that you're building the wealth as you go along even more important?
Absolutely, 100%.
And I agree with Larry there as well, by the way. Contract books do have, selling a perm-only solo recruiter is nigh on impossible.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, what are they buying? They're buying your relationships, but they're your relationships and you want to leave the business.
Go to Don, then we'll come back to you. You can go to the next stage, Christian. So Don, love to get your thoughts before we go back to Christian.
Yeah, no, I think this is really good, Christian. And Mike's comments are well thought out. And it's probably, to Larry's point, at least part of the reason why some of us are looking at the $100 million money models book as a blueprint to have annuities that generate income, whether you're quote unquote making placements or not. But I think, just backing up a second, I think it's really important to think about, and Christian, you may be covering some of this, so apologies if it's preemptive in nature, but I think the idea of what does retirement mean to people is really important. Is that a complete exit from the business? For me personally, I'll just throw mine out on the table as an example. I'd like to keep working as long as I can. And it's not because I have to either, because I actually don't. It's because I want to, right? And so my calculations are that making just something as small as $50,000 a year is actually more than what U.S. Social Security will pay me. Right.
Yeah.
So when you start adding things together, that can really have a big dent on assets that you've already accumulated in terms of not having to pull as much from them over time. So I think it's really important to just kind of start with that picture. It's kind of like, what does retirement mean to you? For my stepfather, who's since passed, it meant, kind of a retreat in some sense from life. He sat around and watched a lot of TV and did stuff like that. That's not my definition of it. So I think you have to define it first and then kind of work backwards into what an exit for the business might actually look like or mean.
And I thank you, Laurie, because I'm in complete agreement with you. I try not to use the word retirement too much because I think it has a lot of negative connotations. In my experience, it makes you think about people like your stepfather that retreat a little bit. And we're trying to talk about financial freedom, and that being the point that you don't have to work; it becomes a choice. It's about like your peace of mind. It's about your peace of mind. It's about knowing that things become a choice and knowing that you've got a plan, whether you stay healthy or not, or whatever it might be. And I think you pick up on it. It's just about understanding everything and understanding what those choices are going to be. But yeah, thank you. You definitely nailed it, and hopefully there's a few bits on what you've just discussed as well in the next couple of sections. Okay. Should we move on, Terry?
Yes, please, Christian. Yeah.
Fantastic. Should we share my screen again? So hopefully everyone can see that. Okay. So I think pretty much what Don just said really there. Financial freedom doesn't start with money. Money is what we use to gain financial freedom. But actually, we must first understand what financial freedom means to each one of us individually. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Maybe it is, continuing to work in some capacity. Maybe like the client I spoke to yesterday, or potential client, that's in his mid-30s, that's got a fantastic business heading towards exit, wants to go and do Ironmans at a professional level. Everyone's got something different. My own personal one is my ability to do what I want, when I want, with who I want. It's to experience travel with family and friends. It's to have experiences with my family. It's to play a bit of golf, which at the moment I don't get much chance to do. It's helping others fulfill their lives and face their fears. I'm probably a bit like you, Don. I don't see myself, fully retiring or retreating. I see myself working in some capacity until I just really don't want to anymore. But even then, doing other things. And that's my why, and that's what gets me going, but it's slightly different for everyone else. So if it doesn't start with money, I pose the question, what is real wealth? And it's not measured in the size of your bank account. It's living a life full of purpose. It's spending that time with intention. It's maintaining your health, because what is wealth without health? We can want to work all our life, but if we're not healthy enough, we won't be able to. And even myself, I admit, I need to look after myself a lot more sometimes. It's building lasting relationships with friends and family. And my experience, when I go deep into this, and when we always start with people, is we need to understand what drives people before we can advise them on their money. And in my experience, it comes down to one of these three things. It's wanting to have more time, wanting to improve their health, and wanting to have better relationships with the people around them. Most people come into a mixture of those three categories. So I'm going to just ask people a bit of a yes/no in the chat again. I'm going to ask you a bit of a hypothetical, and bear with me if you will. Hypothetically, if I was to offer anyone here £10 million in your bank account today with no strings attached, would you accept it? Yes or no? As expect a few yeses. I do occasionally get a no, but I always say to people, you can always give it to charity. Right, I want to ask you the same question again, but with a little twist in it this time. I'm giving you the same 10 million away. So you're looking at family security for most of us for the rest of your life, and maybe generational wealth. I'm giving you that £10 million, but if you accept it, you know that in a week's time, you'll die. Would you accept it then, yes or no? Okay. So and I see, Don, we get some people that say yes because it would give the family security, but most people say no, and that's because I would see that having that money isn't the be all and end all. Your family will probably want you here more than the money. So we can look at it that money isn't the start or the end. It's actually about your quality of life and what you want for it. Now we know what it is, we need to structure to attain it. And this is where I start with your freedom number. So what is your freedom number? It's enough money to last you for the rest of your life without ever having to rely on income from your business or work again. Now, let's think about it. That's enough money accumulated in your assets so that you can draw an income and never have to work again. And coming back to sort of what Don said, it's very much about that choice. It doesn't mean you don't have to work again. It doesn't mean you give up or retreat. It just means you've got that financial security that, you know, whatever happens in your life, you're going to be okay for the rest of it. So this is how we work it out. Now, what I've done is a real sort of high level number here. There's a lot more variables that come into it. Things like inflation, things like when you want to stop work, things like investment returns. But there's a lot of things that come into it. But this gives us a good rule of thumb. And what it is your monthly lifestyle. So I want you to think what it costs to pay your bills in your house, but also what it costs to do all the things that you love to do. Take the kids, take the kids out, or go to the theatre, or go on holiday. All the things that we get out of bed for. So if we think about the two things, we've got fixed costs that you have to pay before you get out of bed, and you've got floating costs of the things you get out of bed for. And most people can give me a guesstimate off the top of the heads of what that may be. We times that by 300. If you've got that number, you're pretty much there. And if you are, you need to speak to someone like me, do the numbers behind it, because you could potentially give up work tomorrow. Now, I want to go through a conversation I had recently with a prospective client, and I ask every single person this question. I'm sure Terry, we've had this conversation. Sure, it's the sort of thing you ask yourself is, have you got a number in mind? And this client said to me, their words were, and the reason I use retire is, I need 5 million to retire. And I asked them a little bit more detail, and we had a conversation around it. And I asked where they got that number. And it's basically a number they plucked out of thin air. So we went back and I said to them, what do you spend? Well, probably about a good life for us would be £6,500 a month. So this is after you've paid off your mortgage and done all your thing. You think that's just £6,500 to run your house and do whatever you want every single month, dropping into your bank account. And when we run it, when I got a bit of paper out in front of him there, and I just scribbled this out and said, well, your number's probably closer to about £2 million. And I see it weekly. Founders who could be free at 50, working until they're 65, adding imaginary millions to the target. Often people are thinking, oh, the number's going to be way higher than I think. And often it's much lower than they think, because they're moving the goalpost because of fear that it's not going to be enough, or they're not going to have enough, or fear that they should be building more revenue and you should have a bigger and better business. And there's nothing wrong with that. You should want to build your business. I'll explain that. I'll come back to the 300 figure at the end, if that's okay with you, Mike. Now, this person already had 1.2 million in the pensions and ISAs and various other assets. And when we actually sort of wrote it down and put a plan in place, she could have been basically financially free in 5 years. Instead, she was planning another 15, chasing 5 million. And I don't think she'll stop working in 5 years. I think she'll keep building the business, but at least she knows where she's at. So once we get to this number, where does it take us? And it gives you these things. It means that you grow your business with purpose. You start to understand what you're growing your business for, and you've got a target for. And it helps you to reverse engineer. So think about it like this. We know your number. We know what you need to extract from the business on a yearly basis. And we start with, and that's current lifestyle plus the money you need to take out. And then you build back through. What does that mean in what does that mean in net profit, gross profit, revenue? How many placements do you mean? And that's when someone like Terry comes in and says, great, we've got this information. We know that you've got to make X placements at this price, and we know what you need to do and set the mindset set into it. Then you also know your path to financial freedom. And the biggest thing this brings out is, I had someone say to me just recently, they said, I know I'm a long way off it, but knowing what I need to do gives me clarity and purpose and peace of mind. And the reason being is because before I was just burying my head in the sand and hoping for the best. At least I know now. At least I know what's possible. And then they can start to live like life they design. So final bit for me, if you knew your real number 5 years ago, how would you have built a business differently? How would you have spent your time, your money, or lived your life? If you'd have started 5 years ago, where would you be now on the journey? So I'll use that as a good point to break again. And I think we've already got a question from Mike. So where does the 300 number come from? Which is a really valid question. Without going into the details, it's academic research. So what we can look back at is about 120 years worth of data. And if we take a month during every 120 years and we start by drawing about 4%. So if you work it out, 300 is about 4%. We can draw 4%, well, it is 4%. We can draw 4% of the capital, and it can remain invested, and it won't run out. Okay. If, for instance, markets are better than the median, in about 90% of cases, you'll actually have more. In about 10% of cases, you'll have less. So it's just a good rule of thumb, but it is based on academic research on 120 years of data. And if you want to know a bit more about it, I can provide a bit more on the back of that as well. Was that helpful?
So just for the sake of clarity, if you look at the example you gave, someone needs round figures 2 million.
Yeah.
They're going to draw 4% of that every year.
Yeah.
That allows them to get to the £6,500 per month without eroding their capital.
It means that they won't run out of capital in their lifetime. I'm not going to, because in about 90% of cases, the capital will actually grow. In about 10% of cases, by the end of your lifetime, it'll be maybe a bit less. It just depends on performance within your investments. So, for instance, if you take in those 10% of cases, let's say you started taking on the day that the financial crisis started, and the market's dropped, you'd still be able to continue taking that money out. It just means that your capital's got to work a bit harder on the back end of it.
Okay, because I've been doing similar calculations, so I've been using a figure of 6%.
I'd say that's high.
Really?
But I'm quite happy to use. Well, Mike, jump on a 20-minute call with me, and I'll just show you why. And look, there's a lot of variables that come into it.
I know, absolutely, I get that.
But because also you've got things like you'll have your state pension come into it. I don't want to get too much into technical detail, but you might start on a higher withdrawal rate and lower that down as other things sort of kick in at a later date. But you've also got to grow that number with inflation. So if you did it at 6% flat for 30 years, then in 30 years' time, you have half the purchasing power because of inflation, effectively.
Okay, useful. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you want to jump on, I'm quite happy to just walk you through it in a bit more detail, because I'm sure some people. I'll talk about it all day, but not everyone finds it that interesting. Has anyone got any other questions?
I wanted to go to a few people. I wanted to come to you, Emily, because I know this is something in terms of sending a business that you're very interested in. So I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback. And also Steve.
There's a question from Margaret in the box as well.
Yeah.
Missed that one.
Okay, thanks for that. So let's do Margaret first of all. Margaret, come to you. I'm smiling because we sometimes have challenges with Margaret's microphone. So fingers crossed, Margaret.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm not a business owner, obviously. I do wonder how, if obviously a business, a lot of the value of the business is the actual business owner who's put all that relationship building, if you like, into it. But how early before you retire should you be working on that succession plan? Is it right from day one, or is it something that you build your business and then you think, right, this is what my next step is? I mean, how early before you retire should you really focus on that?
I think that's a great question. And on a high level, you'd always say, like, today, now, you should, as soon as possible. But I've been a business owner myself. I am a business owner myself. And I know in the first 2 or 3 years, all I was thinking about was how do I pay my mortgage and how do I pay my bills and how do I do that? So my point would be initially focusing on your business. There is nothing wrong with having an idea about this and sort of, start with the end in mind. What business do you want to build? And do that. But anyone that's been a business owner here, the first couple of years, I think they realise, you're not sitting down with planning out your personal future. You're just working out how the hell you're going to make this work. Once things start to settle down and you feel that you can pay for your lifestyle as soon as possible, then, because as soon as things start picking up, that's at the point when lifestyle creep might come in. And I always think there's a gap between what your expectations are and what money you have. And if your expectations are higher than what you have, you're probably not very happy. But if we can manage those expectations and you've got a bit more, that's the gap of where we can find it. So my answer to you is, as soon as sort of things stabilize in your business, you should be getting something down and thinking about this. Does that help?
Yes. Just not day one then.
Day one, but as soon as possible.
When you feel comfortable, then get that plan.
I would even say before you feel comfortable, because sometimes you'll never feel comfortable talking about money and sitting down and going through it. So I would say as soon as you sort of feel that you can cover you can pay your mortgage and put food on your table, start thinking about it then.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Margaret. Come to you, Emily. Come to you next.
Hello, Terry. Hello, Christian. Thank you so much for a really great presentation. Very thought-provoking. I think I definitely fall into the area of my business is worth loads and I'm going to sell it for loads, but I'm just not going to take any money out until I get to that point, because I'm constantly spending more to get it to that point, which is probably quite a familiar tale you hear a lot. What would you think would be the first 3 things I should do just to make a difference?
That's a really good question.
Great question.
Emily, we've chatted before as well. We chatted about some South African outsourcing as well, 18 months ago, maybe.
I remember.
And so the question was, what are the first 3 things you should be thinking about? Was that? That's
right. Yes.
That's the question.
What's the first 3 things I should do to make a difference?
1, outsource as much as you can. But
sorry,
I'm joking. I said 1, outsource as much as you can.
No, wise advice.
Yeah. So I'm going to come to this in a little bit more about structure. I think it's first and foremost. Don said this really. It's understanding what you want first. It's not practical advice, but it's sitting down and understanding if you've got a partner, as in a life partner, a husband, wife, significant other. Sitting down with them and understanding what journey that you want to go on and what you want out of your life, because we can't do that. I think number 2, it's ensuring that you have the insurance and you have everything around you, that if you get ill or one of you passes away, that life continues and it's not taken away from you. And I think number 3 is understanding at what point you need to stop investing in your business and start taking money out. Because I think as business owners, I'm the same. I'm always like, what can I do next? What can I do next? What can I do? What can I do to build it? And it's about starting small if you're building personal wealth and doing it incrementally. So it might just be starting regular payments into a pension. Might be just starting to understand your numbers about what you can pull out your business. But I'm going to go through that in a little bit more detail in the next one. Does that help?
Very much so. Thank you.
Excellent. Take one more question from Steve and then we'll go on to the next point. Steve Bishop, good afternoon, sir.
Hello, you okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, Steve.
I mean, I feel like probably a little bit of a cheat, because me and Spencer, who's not here, he's stuck in a meeting, have been in and around financial services forever. So, I kind of do have a number already. If we sell the business, even when we sell the business, I think I would treat that as a bonus rather than being reliant on it. We've planning in place. We pay money into pensions, investments, have the cover in place as well. So this is kind of something that I used to do for a living a little while back. So yeah.
Well,
it's
news to my ears. And I suppose I have a question back to you and for the others there. Do you feel having those kind of plans in place gives you a little bit more peace of mind, security, confidence about about your business now, because you're not sort of thinking about tomorrow as what you might need tomorrow, and you've got fallback plans?
No, 100%. I think it's almost. I think where I'm at, and I'm 10 years older than Spencer, so he's probably not quite at this stage, but I've almost got an age in mind. I think it's one of those things when you're younger, it's like way off into the distance and it's just accumulate and see where you end up. Whereas now it's more of a plan of actually, if I do this and I do this, I can get to this age and hopefully I'll be in this position, including all those variables like inflation, investment returns and all those sorts of things. But yeah, there is some level of security there that if I can do this for this period of time, I'll be mortgage free, I'll have this level of assets, and that gives me the lifestyle that I think we want in terms of holidays. And I think you coined it perfectly, doing what you want with who you want whenever you want, as opposed to just going and sitting down and waiting to die. So the security thing, is spot on.
Fantastic. I appreciate that as well. Someone just got me some numbers in there.
Yeah, Russell, can we come to you rather than trying to read it? If we can come to you, you can verbalise the question. Hi, Russell.
I can hear my computer that I'm struggling. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you fine.
That's why I put it in the chat. All right, that's fine. So basically, in short, my question was the times 300. Does that include future inflation? Because just a small calculation on, let's say, the 6,500 would be about 9,500 in 10 years. So would I want to work backwards if it was 6,500 from the future inflation number, or does it already include?
High level again, and I'll probably say a bit like Mike. If you want to jump on a quick call, I'll walk you through it in a bit more detail, because I've just gone a very basic number. So the way we look at it, that 6,500 a year has to be growing with inflation throughout the whole time, because otherwise you don't keep up your lifestyle. So the number is, if you've got that number today, okay. So if you got let's just make it the 2 million. If you've got 2 million today, you can take 6,500 growing with inflation sort of in perpetuity. And again, there's a lot of variables but that come into it. However, if you wanted to look at what your number might be in 10 years, we need to inflation adjust that number upwards. And a good rule of thumb, 3% inflation, 10 years, you're probably looking at about a third. In 20 years, it's about double. Is it thereabouts with the numbers of it? So 80 would turn into 120 in 10 years, and in 20 years it turn into 160, just to maintain your current lifestyle. But yes, to answer your question, it takes inflation into account.
Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Ask another question on the back of that before it disappears out of my head. But it's disappeared out of my head. I was just scribbling something down here. Oh yeah, no, sorry. I'll write it down a bit more quickly last time. Sorry.
I'll tell you what I've got, Terry. Actually, thinking about it, I have got a spreadsheet where I sort of put this number in. I've got an email with a video, and if anyone wants that, just give me a shout, and you can just plug numbers in yourself with a video explainer on, and that can help you. Or, as I say, I'm happy to jump on a quick call with anyone and help them as well.
Yeah. So okay. Well, we can do that. Excellent. Thanks, Christian. I'm gonna let you go on because I know you've got a couple more points that you want to get through. So back to you.
Fantastic. Thank you. So, there we go.
So I'm going in meetings.
Emily, you're just on. Thank you. So we want to build your exit, not just your business. So if you want financial freedom, don't wait for a buyer, build it yourself. And I think it was Steve that said, he coined this for me, but a sale should be the icing on the cake or the cherry on the cake, not the cake itself. So it should be seen as a bonus, and it improves what you can do in the future rather than being the be all and end all. So where do we start? It's about living a life by design, not by default. Building a business that reflects your needs. We've taken the last 5 years to build our life by design process. And what we find is everyone we work with needs 3 things. And a few people have sort of made comments around some of these things today, so hopefully they make some sense. We need to define a strategy. First, define what financial freedom really means to you, not just in numbers, but in lifestyle. Security, purpose. I'm thinking setting clear, measurable goals so you know exactly what you're working towards. Think of this as you've got a mission statement for your business and KPIs, and this is your mission statement and KPIs for yourself. Then you need to design the plan. And it should be a personalized step-by-step plan that turns business success into lasting personal wealth. It's a roadmap. It's your sat nav to get to your freedom number. And it's built around your goals, giving you clarity, confidence, and a clear path to financial freedom and security. And now you know how much you need from the business. You can build that business that funds the lifestyle now and in the future. And then, and then finally, we need to deliver, guiding you every step of the way, helping you stay on track, avoid costly mistakes, and make informed financial decisions. Align your investments to your plan, manage your taxes, put the right protection in place. There's a lot of things to do, but this is all going to save you time, reduce your effort, and remove uncertainty so you can move forward. What this is about is optimizing your business and using it as the engine for your future. And what a support of a good financial advisor will do, it's like having a fractional CFO for your personal finances. It's like having someone that's in your corner, taking care of all the stuff you don't have time to and don't really want to do. So really, what practical steps can we take? And so this is where we get into the nitty-gritty of the financial advice. But first, we've got to protect what we've got. There's no point doing anything else until what we've got is protected and in place. We've got to guard your family and your business from the unexpected. The plan isn't a plan if one bad month or one diagnosis wipes it out. And I like to think about it. We're legally obliged to insure our house and cars and businesses, and we do because we have to. But most sides speak to insure their travel, their possessions, and their pets. But they don't insure the person who generates the income. If you think about it, you are an asset. You're an income generating asset. You are the greatest asset that you probably have. There's nothing else that gives you a better return on investment than you. So most people have got mortgages insured, but if they die, there won't be food on the table for the kids. The mortgage is paid off, but they won't be able to make the lifestyle. They probably haven't got income protection that ensures the household stays stable, that you can keep extracting money, you can keep doing the things that you want to do, and they haven't got critical illness. In a business, have they got shareholder protection that shields their partner if they need to negotiate? Just think about it. If you've got a business partner and your business partner passes away, their shares will go to their husband, wife, significant other, and all of a sudden you've got a shareholder that doesn't know anything about the business. A very cheap bit of insurance can mean you have an agreement in place, they get the money, you get the shares. So all these things can be done. I just want to ask people one question. Feel free, you don't have to answer this one by any stretch of imagination, but if I asked you, do you have a will? What's the answer? Yes or no? Fantastic. So a lot of people do, which is fantastic. But something like 60% of adults in the UK don't have an existing will. And if you don't have an existing will, you cause a nightmare for your family. And we're talking about something to go to a solicitor is about £300 at minimum. You can actually do one online for 50 quid. So if you take nothing else from today and you haven't got a will, or if you haven't updated it in 20 years, go and update it. So next we go on to extract. You've got to transfer today's success into tomorrow's security. Your business isn't your family's safety net. First, you need to take the money from it. So you pay yourself first every month. You build a personal runway, not just a business one. You've probably got cash flow in your business. You've probably got a reserve in your business. Have you got a personal reserve? 3 to 12 months, depending on preference. If you've got a husband, wife, significant other, are they a shareholder in your business? You can maximize their allowances. Are you paying your national insurance to build state pension? Just put aside here, state pension gets a lot of bad negative press. But if you're a couple, a state pension today will give you around about £23,500 in investments. On that number we've been through today, the 300 times that, in investments for that on a yearly basis, you need somewhere in excess of £550,000. So that's what a state pension is actually worth. And you should at very minimal be taking your 12,570 salary every year to ensure that you pay your national insurance and keep that up. Pension contributions get a lot of bad press, but the most tax efficient extraction available to a limited company owner. You've got 60 grand a year. Forget the salary sacrifice thing that's in the budget. It's not coming in for 3 years anyway. But it reduces corporation tax. There's no income tax. It grows tax free, and it's not the business. It's into your personal wealth. ISA funding 40,000 a year between a couple. Tax free growth. And one a lot of people don't think about, I often see business owners building up excess cash because they don't want to take it out. They don't want to pay the tax on it. Fair enough. But don't leave it in that limited company. Create a group structure, move it out. Because if something happens to your business, that cash is liable. If you move it out into another business, no tax to pay, you move it and you do it in the right way, you can invest through that business and you can do all sorts of things. So there's a lot of things you can do to extract the money from your business and reduce the risk within it. But yeah, and I'll just finally finish up on a couple of points. The final point is you've protected it, you've extracted it, now you need to grow it. Your exit doesn't start when you find a buyer, it starts the moment your money works harder than you do. So you've got to build investments that compound quietly in the background, increase contributions as business grows, invest in assets that work harder than you, treat wealth building as a monthly non-negotiable, and use your freedom number to decide how much growth you need. Now, this is where everyone goes, what should I be investing in? And the answer is, it depends. And I'm sorry, but I've seen people invest in property, in shares, in crypto, and lots of different things and be successful and get successfully there. But remember, the greatest return on investment is you and your business. What I don't want to take away from is saying that the business isn't the greatest engine for you. You are the greatest ROI. The investment strategy has to work for you, take minimal effort, and you need to understand it so that you build a business that funds your future. Okay. And I'm just going to finish off here. And I love this. And I think a little bit question, there was a question earlier, I think maybe it'd been Margaret, about when's the best time. And this old Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the second best time today. And you probably came here thinking about growing your business. But I'll say this, growth without protection is building on sand. Growth without an exit is building a prison. And growth without knowing your freedom number, that's working until you can't. The choice is yours. You keep chasing revenue or you start building real wealth. You keep the business, you keep being the business or you stop building the business. And the advice I would give myself 20 years ago, or bearing in mind 20 years ago, I was, probably not running a business. But if I was giving myself advice 20 years ago, I would have said this: stop measuring success by what you own. I spent a lot of my life chasing earning money and realized it was a road to misery. But start measuring it by how many years until you never have to work again, and start measuring it by the relationships you've got, the time that you've got, and your health, so that you can do what you want, when you want, for as long as you want. And I'd say the clock starts now. And I just finish here. If anyone wants to put some time, and Terry said he'd share these links anyway, but if anyone wants to put some time in my diary, 20 minutes there, join me on LinkedIn, feel free to do so. And I'll also share my business owner's plan to financial independence, 19-page guide that goes into a lot of this. It doesn't go into more of the technical numbers that a lot of people have been asking me about. So if you did want to know a bit more about that, feel free to put a call in. But yeah, I shall leave it at that. And thank you for your time.
I think the point that Christian made about, when's the best time to plant a tree 20 years ago, second best time is now. Do something now. Look, if you're a recruitment business owner, or whether you're an owner or an employee, you can create financial freedom, but only if you start today. For those that don't know, Christian specializes within the recruitment and search industry as well. I'd strongly recommend that you reach out to him and have a personal conversation with him.
Yeah.
Just for the recording, I'm just going to spell your name, Christian. It's Christian, CHRISTIAN, and the surname MATHER. Please reach out to Christian if you've got any questions about anything, because quite frankly, we've only scratched the surface here, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. And what I would say is, we can give you the number, we can tell you what you need to get there, but you need to be looking to work with people exactly like Terry to help you drive that growth in your business so that you can extract the number in the first place.
Again, a massive thank you, Christian, for your input. I really appreciate it. Until next time, folks, take care. Take action.
Have a good Christmas, everyone.
Yeah.